There's a guy on the internet that has questions that no atheist will be able to answer. He knows for sure that some big names in the atheist community won't have answers to these questions. And I definitely don't think this is him trying to call out some massive YouTubers to get some traffic to his channel. But it's that there are 25 questions here that will baffle the most scientific thinking atheists. Whatever that means. Hello, I'm the Skeptic, the British floating circle that watches people make extraordinary claims, then I explain why I don't accept what they're saying. It's always funny to me when a believer is called Lucifer, and that's exactly what we have here. Lucifer Burns is calling out some well-known internet atheists to answer some questions that have apparently never been asked before. I don't know why he didn't aim it at some of these folks, since they're more likely to actually respond, so here I am offering my dumb responses to some very likely dumb questions. But before we get to hear how silly these questions are, if this isn't your first Skeptic video, hit the like, the subscribe and the bell and get the algorithm to answer which videos you should be getting in your feed. And a super thanks to those that hit super thanks in some recent videos. New Pitbull, Fred Harvey, Condor Boss and Stephanie Spinella. Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe bestows leaves upon you all. More hen. 25 questions. Boom. Let's go.
Atheists fear Lucifer's 25 questions so much that all of these guys will avoid them.
Well, hang on. I don't mean to be a YouTube sizist, but with under 2,000 views, it could be that they just don't see your video to answer them.
So I challenge all atheists to answer Lucifer's 25 questions like Martin Luther challenging the papacy. And it would be preferable if the answers were through a video so that I could make a response video scoring all of them. First things first, this is my definition of theist and atheist. Theists believe that existence was created by a living thing metaphysically. Atheists believe that existence was created by a non-living thing physically.
Well, now we can't continue because your definition isn't correct. So this is just a video of you having questions for a group of people you just made up. Okay.
And skeptics don't believe in anything and question theists and atheists.
Skeptics say that what theists believe is pretty dumb.
So I'm really speaking about the scientific atheist community, which blindly believes in the physical world religious dogma.
Did you go to the Hovind School of How to Say Dumb Crap? I do so love when believers say how ridiculous the atheist religion is, like they're admitting that religion is stupid. All the while, not believing in gods isn't a religion. It might be a good idea to start a dumb counter because I fear it'll be a high-scoring round. With incorrect definitions and then claiming atheism is a religion, I guess we can start at 2.
And the educational system indoctrinated them into believing it because it's basically the only other option to God.
So now you're saying the education system teaching things is wrong. Are you okay? And the only other option to your God isn't science. Well, I mean, for me it is, but for the folks out there, it could be their God. It's not your God or atheism/science. It's atheism/science versus all the other God claims.
Now, after these questions, you'll see that atheists don't really have any answers at all.
Oh, I bet they do. I just assume you'll stick your fingers in your ears and pretend the answers don't exist.
So I'll play the skeptic for this, where the truth is a blank sheet of paper with nothing on it. And I'd like to hear the atheist's answers with evidence to convince me into believing their worldview.
What worldview? I just don't believe in the claims of gods.
Question 1. How is there something rather than nothing?
Because if there was nothing, there would be nothing, and then we wouldn't have to listen to you being all smug. But it is an acceptable answer to say, I don't know. I tack on to that, I don't care, too. All I care about is that I exist now, and I need to enjoy it whilst I can. It's really a question for a cosmologist and not an atheist. To be fair, you don't know the answer either, but I don't go, I don't know, so it must have been an undemonstrated space wizard.
Question 2. How did matter come from no matter? Or can you elucidate how something physical just exists?
So this is just a different wording of the last question. Yes, I can explain how something physical exists. Once upon a time, a giant cosmic rainbow deity was floating through darkness and bumped into some other gods, and it ate those other gods, and the nutrients from those beings fed a colossal poop, which meant stuff existed. The reason there is something is because Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe, leaf be upon her, pooped everything into existence. And that's just as valid as your God claim.
Question 3. How did the physical thing change if there was nothing else to react to?
What physical thing? Are your questions unanswerable because they don't make sense? That's not how you get through. but physical things react to other physical things, if that's what you mean. That is at least demonstrable.
Question 4. Can you show me a single physical thing being created? And can you explain how it is created?
In what way? Do you know how babies are created? I could show you that, but I'd need to borrow your mum.
Question 5. Is there a bottom to the physical world, or are all things made of things infinitely?
That adds another on the dumb counter. What does this have to do with atheism?
Question 6. Do the physical things collectively make up one thing, or is everything separate, or even something else?
You have heard of the universe, right?
Question 7. Can 2D even exist in the physical world, given that it has no thickness at all?
Again, nothing to do with atheism. How does a 2D concept prove the existence of a god?
Question 8. How does time and the separation of events exist in the physical world?
You what, mate? If an event happens, then it happens. Instead of stringing together random words, give an example. And if you're alluding to the beginning of the universe, then what happened before that was also happening in that time, whether it was indeed anything or not. We just have a moment we can measure from, which is the beginning of time, but maybe only for us.
Question 9. Does the past and the future exist simultaneously, or are we always living in the peak of time?
Well, obviously not, but it all depends on your location. Time is relative to the point it's being measured from. There's a great time dilation experiment one of my heroes, Brian Cox, does, where you can see the passing of time differ relative to observers moving at different speeds.
Question 10. What proof for God should be accepted, given hallucinations exist?
Well, that's stupid. Are you admitting that a god is an hallucination? I don't know what proof for a god should be accepted, but if a god was a god, it would know what I would accept as proof for its existence. And right now, I'm very unconvinced.
Question 11. Is knowledge like mathematics discovered or invented by people?
I'm not sure what you mean here either. Maybe thinking about it, a little bit of both, but again, this isn't anything to do with not believing in gods.
Question 12. Does existence entirely make sense, or is it partially or entirely nonsense?
It makes sense that I'm here because my parents did something I never ever want to think about them doing. But do you mean, does my life have meaning? Only what I give to it. To enjoy what I have with those I love, help those I can help, and ensure my family have the best future I can provide after I'm gone.
Question 13. How are the laws of logic and physics just a coincidence that remain constant?
Physics, regardless of our understanding of it, would continue to work the way it does. It just does. And until that changes, the explanation for physics will also remain. Brains work the way they do, and so logic continues.
Question 14. Can humans explain absolutely everything without God?
What needs explaining with a god? It's really silly to conclude something that hasn't been demonstrated to exist had any involvement in anything. It's no different to not understanding how mushrooms appear in your yard overnight and then blaming it on pixies.
Question 15. What is the peak of technology and the final invention, if not existence in its entirety?
Existence isn't technology. There's nothing to suggest it was invented. What is the peak of technology? Well, I don't know. But some idiot with a lot of money has paid for the invention of self-parking reusable rockets and the beginnings of the robot revolution.
Question 16. Could a random series of events build a pyramid, considering that that's what you think created life?
Highly doubtful. But a random series of events isn't really how life came into existence. Chemicals bond. All the time. They react in certain conditions. All the time. If it was random, those events couldn't be recreated. Over and over.
Question 17. How did life come from non-life?
On an early Earth in volatile conditions with a mixture of chemicals in certain locations, those chemicals started self-assembling and becoming organic. A simple search on Abiogenesis will answer that for you, lazy boy.
Question 18. How did death come to exist immediately through the first life, rather than it being immortal?
Again, what are you getting at? Things decay. Wear and tear is real. What on earth is immortal that you can compare anything to?
Question 19. How did the first life just so happen to be able to create more life by itself?
Mitosis, meiosis, fertilization. Don't they teach anything in school anymore?
Question 20. How did life withstand death and continue rather than discontinue?
You have heard of sex, right? I feel like some of these questions might be better for your parents to answer for you.
Question 21. How did the first life gain consciousness and the ability to do things?
What things are you expecting the first life to do? Exist? Survive? Pass on traits so that their offspring can have a better chance of surviving and then continuing the species?
Question 22. How does the mind and imagination exist in the physical world?
In what way do you mean exist? Because there are chemical processes that explain how minds and imaginations work.
Question 23. If life can so easily come to be and remain in many different environments, where are all of the aliens?
Probably just trying to exist on their planets.
Question 24. What is the purpose of life?
Purpose? It's that little flame that lights a fire under your ass. Purpose? It keeps you going strong like a car with a full tank of gas. Everyone else has a purpose, so what's mine? Sorry, I was just remembering a song from Avenue Q. You already asked this question.
Question 25. Do you think that AI is an immortal metaphysical form of life that would be accepted as a god 2,000 years ago?
No. And AI needs humans to teach it how to be intelligently artificial. Just like God concepts need humans to try and convince folks that the God they believe in is real. If every believer in a God stopped believing in a God wouldn't be a concept, and that idea would quickly die away.
If not, how is this not a god? It does not age, it can create metaphysical, lifelike story worlds, and it can talk to millions of people at once.
But it can't create universes that are actually in existence. Like ours.
And if so, do you believe in God?
No, because gods aren't real.
So those are Lucifer's 25 questions, where hopefully you provided a greater answer than yes or no, or I don't know.
The skeptic wants to know why Lucifer refers to himself in the third person.
Considering that I would like to be convinced of the non-living physical world. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get high-quality answers. I think atheists are the type of people that go to a debate to tell others that they're wrong. And then when the others ask them what answers do they have instead, they simply say, I don't know.
And that really is the most honest answer in a lot of cases. It's far more honest to say, I don't know, rather than, I don't know. Therefore a god.
And this is what I would call the atheist's super sword of that's wrong and super shield of I don't know. Now why I mention that is because when atheists challenge my worldview, I give them answers. But when I ask them about theirs, they always have the most eloquent way of evading my questions.
But your answers have nothing to back them up. At least, I assume, no gods have been proven. So I feel like that's a valid statement.
As they pretend to believe in nothing whilst simultaneously being completely biased against one option and for the other. And here's how I came to that conclusion. Atheists are not being converted anywhere, as once you realize it's all nonsense, you can't make yourself believe something that you don't think is real. Can you show me the creation of a single physical thing? Who's the one believing in nonsense? Man can create great things out of wood, steel, concrete, and many other things. Have you another point to make yourself look stupid? That's remolding matter, like creating a sandcastle is just remolding the sand of the beach into the concept of sandcastle. Don't be condescending, especially when you don't know what you're talking about. Now can you show me the creation of a single physical thing? You mean, can a man make anything out of nothing? No, that would require magic, and as an adult, I don't believe magic is real. Show me the creation of any physical thing, or your worldview of this world being physical comes from magic, which contradicts what you just said about not believing in magic. You believe a god of some kind made everything out of nothing with some kind of magic. Did you choose your religion after researching among the 10,000 other religions, or did you just happen to be born into and told from being a baby that it's true? Do you see how they just can't answer a simple question about their worldview?
Well, that was a thrilling conversation, but where were your answers? You complain about folks not answering when that's what you do.
And there are so many atheists commenting on my videos that have no answers at all. They blindly believe in the physical world religious dogma.
Yeah, religion is pretty stupid. Thank goodness atheism isn't a religion though.
So I ask, can you physically touch anything in your dreams?
Do you really need that answering? No, unless you dream about something that actually exists and then touch it at an awake time. Doesn't prove a god. Unless you're going down the route of gods exist in the minds of many. Well, so does Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe, leave be upon her.
Based on the fact that a metaphysical world does exist as your dreams, which you can touch physically and believe to be real, it's safe to assume that we could be in a metaphysical world created by a living thing or a physical world created by a non-living thing.
Or a world that wasn't created at all, but that just came into being because physics is real, regardless of your understanding of it.
Then the metaphysical world is a possibility and the physical world is a possibility. But they just keep claiming that the physical world is axiomatically true until proven to be otherwise, which is the exact same logic that a theist uses to claim that God exists and it's just axiomatically true. And that's not how the truth works. The truth is a blank sheet of paper with nothing on it.
No, it isn't. The truth is what is demonstrable and repeatable, and is in accordance with fact or reality. Trying to change the definition of words doesn't make your God suddenly exist.
And if you want to put the physical world on it, you have to prove that it's physical. And they can do so by showing me how any physical thing can just come to be, including the first physical thing. If they can't do that, the physical world is uncertain and just a possibility, like the metaphysical world. And if they really want to prove that their worldview is true, they can answer every single one of Lucifer's 25 questions.
Which are just like tons of other questions on the internet, which really don't have anything to do with atheism, and definitely don't act like gotchas to prove the existence of any gods.
And no, I'm not a Christian. I'm a Pythagorean, panpsychist, panentheist, or a savior. And if you want to know what that means, and all of my answers to Lucifer's 25 questions which are congruent, you can watch it in my Mark of the Beast 4-hour, 3-part series through this link.
4 hours? No thanks. This almost 8 minutes of you was enough for me. I mean, you didn't even get the definition of atheism right, so why would the rest of what you say have any meaning? Lucifer certainly has a level of smugness that's been seen before, and if he ever saw these responses, he'd probably just say, "You didn't answer these," or just ignore the answers and make up some crap, which is fine. I'm not convinced of his god or that any gods are real with these questions. But perhaps you think these questions were unanswerable. Let me know in the section below. I'm going to skeptic this as more dumb questions dealt with. A big thank you to this month's top level ticks on Patreon: Elizabeth R, Dark Ether Piao, Tamo, The Barely Bearable Atheist, George, Godless Granny, Addy Rockhart, The Enixes, Jakari, Elizabeth C, Whiskey Tech Fred and Rick, as well as all the $3 base ticks. You can become a supporter on Patreon too at patreon.com/theskeptic. The link is in the description, along with links to all my other socials. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the Skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically, and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.